into this market, and it's like, I mean, the shell shock seems to be over.
It is and it isn't. The shell shock for the agents and the lenders is over.
Yeah.
But the clients that walk in that maybe aren't tracking the newspaper quite as much as they should be or not necessarily believing it, which I get that, they're still getting shell shock.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had tears from clients more recently than in the past because it's so frustrating, when you have multiple offers and you're not necessarily getting it or you're not sure what to do. And that said, I've had great success getting houses for clients, but, doing things a little different, going the extra mile.
Sure.
But,
well, you have to right now, don't you?
You do. You'd be amazed how many people don't.
Yeah.
It's shocking, but hey, it's good for me.
Well, the market we're talking about is really this market with very low inventory, multiple offers on just about every house. It's tough to be a buyer out there. How do you help people navigate? I mean, you talk about going the extra mile. It's like navigating through a minefield in some ways, just trying to get to a house and potentially get an offer accepted.
Yeah, well, and I think one of the things you said is really key, and that's multiple offers on almost every house, because a lot of times what I'm seeing now is sellers are believing that, and they're thinking, oh, I can just pull a number out of the sky and I'm going to get it, and that's not necessarily true. So the interesting thing is everybody...
The sellers are reading the press. The buyers aren't, huh?
Yeah, the sellers actually, for a seller, it's more of a business decision, and buyers, it's generally more of a emotional decision. So as a general rule, the sellers will read more than the buyers. The buyers will be aware of the market, but they may not be as tied in as with the national news and all the other stuff. They're more focused specifically on a neighborhood. And your point is well taken because... some of these sellers come out, they're overpriced, and they get missed. They didn't sell in the first 5 days. There's a whole list of realtors and buyers that are on to the next property because that property wasn't right. That seller's sitting there going, well, maybe I should drop my price. All of a sudden, that's a house that makes sense. If they're willing to drop their price and get it into the right price range, maybe that's the perfect property.
So as you start looking at the amount of buyers who are in the market, which, I mean, it's kind of seasonal. This is typically the time that people are coming up, and usually we see a lot more transactions. Are we seeing that in this season of spring?
We are, but we're limited because the inventory is so limited. We have the highest absorption rate right now we've had in over a decade. It's over 70%, almost 80%. I mean, the houses are just getting snapped up left and right. And that's frustrating for some people. I've got a lot of buyers that are pulling out of the market, and they're waiting. And they're waiting till the summer. It's not like they're waiting till next year because in our market, it's seasonal. The spring is the busiest time, and in the summer it starts to slow. Fall, it slows even more. Now,
yeah, every real estate agent takes a vacation in August.
Yeah, actually, I'm taking one in July.
Okay.
Last year, I was like, oh my god. And I coach football in August, so I've got to be in town.
Okay, got it.
So I'll continue to work.
So when you talk about when people come and ask, is this the right time for me to buy or sell? What are some of the questions that you are helping them really determine? Because most of these decisions are financial. I mean, they're trying to buy a house or sell a house. They need a place to move.
Yeah, well, and it's funny because I've got clients that have properties that are difficult. They're on an arterial, they're under power lines, they're design-wise not the greatest, or condition-wise they're not the greatest. I'm telling those folks, get your house on the market yesterday. Because when inventory is this low, people will look past a lot of the warts that there are on a house, and they'll go straight to the buying, ignore the issues, get past the issues. And I've sold a couple houses recently where I'm like, really?
Really, yeah.
And it's great. As a buyer, little touches make a difference. In-person presentations, letters to the sellers if they won't allow an in-person presentation, making sure your pre-approvals are right, making sure you're putting the best foot forward. I'm seeing escalator clauses where one party escalates by $500 relative to another. My sellers don't care about $500. They're making a $500,000, sometimes $1 million sale, and they're not going to pick one buyer over another based on a $500 differential in the offer.
Sure.
So that's an agent that doesn't know their business. And so it's important that, whoever you hire, interview them and make sure they know their business.
when you talk about these small increments of going up in price, and we're here with Cory Brandt, managing broker with RE/MAX Real Estate, how do you help people maybe determine what they should go to? Because as we've talked about, a lot of online tools, a lot of buyers are maybe really tied into what's going on, and now they realize, well, geez, I might have to go a little higher.
Right. And that's a little bit more difficult. That is knowing the market. Mm-hmm. Not just getting on a computer and saying, oh, well, this house sold for $350, so that's pretty much the same as the one you're looking at buying, so it must be worth $350.
Right.
If you're in the market, you're actively doing business, you know how many offers are happening on other houses around you. You know roughly probably what they're getting bid up by, and you can help your clients make an educated decision as to whether it's worth it to get involved in this kind of rat race. Mm-hmm. Because if the belief is, and every agent has their own opinion, but if the belief is the value is going to go down later, in the spring or summer, or excuse me, not the spring or summer, but the summer or fall, then maybe it does make sense to wait. Generally, we haven't seen much of a dip, and especially in this hard of a market, and in the Seattle market especially, I don't expect a dip. But
yeah.
The other thing that plays into that is I've seen a couple more for sale by owners going on the market, and I've seen people believing their Zillow pricing. And Zillow, per their own admission, is not accurate. Mm-hmm. It's a tool to get people online and sell
leads to real estate
agents.
Yeah,
exactly. At $300 and some bucks a month, which is what I'm paying. But so it's hire a professional, get a professional estimate as to what you think your house is going to sell for.
Yeah.
And the FSBO thing, honestly, I think they're crazy. When I'm getting 7 offers on a house, you put a FSBO on the market, you might get 1. And do you really know that you got the most out of the market when you only have 1? And what happens if you get 2? Do you know how to handle it correctly? It's not in this market.
Yeah.
But to each their own.
So are there certain examples in areas of town where you've really seen this market culminate into craziness?
Oh, North Seattle, all around Bellevue, all around Kirkland. Most of it is that, kind of that sweet spot, which is under $600,000. The funny thing is I had a client call me up last week, and he said, I need a house in Bellevue for under $400,000. There were 3. So I showed him the 3 and basically said, look, you need to either move your price point or move your location.
I imagine those 3 houses in Bellevue for under $400 were really, really dream homes.
Oh, yeah,
Beautiful.
They were phenomenal. And actually, I think they all got bid up over $400. So, this week I did the search for them, and this is a couple days ago now, but none. There's not a single one. That's how fast this market's changing. If I had done that search last year, I would have had probably at least 30 to pick from.
Right.
So
it's tough to imagine going into these types of markets without guidance. And I think that's really kind of what you're getting at is buyers or sellers are going to need guidance.
Yeah. It's not just guidance. It's guidance that they can trust, that's competent. It's a big decision.
Right.
I go back to the old thing, where, well, I'm hiring my uncle. He's not very good or he's new at it, but I'm hiring my uncle. I'm like,
he's family.
It's family. And I'm like, it's the biggest financial decision of your life. Mm-hmm. Better make sure that it's somebody competent, not just, because they checked the family box.
Is that even a box on the contract, right? I'm using him because it's family. It should be, right?
Yeah, it should be.
Then you'd really know who you're dealing with on the other side.
Yeah. Then it's like, okay, it is your first transaction. Okay, I understand. I'll help you through this one.